Well,
line off now.
we have had
Do
nothing but other than them.
Okay, so you know what you're doing.
Yeah,
Oh, my God. Did you show Mariah?
Nobody I know says if they know.
be my grandchildren.
Oh.
We should do that.
How old? So that's a little puppy.
That's just today. He is
My
just
Oh, we
6
have to do it
weeks
in.
old.
Did you show Mariah? You know they have a golden doodle.
They do?
Yeah.
No, me too.
She comes over to my house.
Oh, yeah.
Secretly.
It really comes over to your house and says, what did you do to me? Why are you sending me back to those people? Those people terrible to me. Give me treats.
That's the level.
How about, can I shit in your yard?
Yeah, oh, I'm telling you, they put me through.
Sadie is spoiled rotten.
She's wonderful.
Well, I guess it's the way I get to be here. Not what I was expecting, but
Something else got into her yard, you know that? He found stuff, dog, some
Stuff.
stuff,
Yeah.
but, I mean, it's kind of fresh. But I have a fenced in yard. The fence is a double fence. It's got, 6 feet high, and it's got a secondary fence inside of the first fence, because they had these 2 huge dogs. Somebody
It's in there.
comes in there somehow. I keep thinking it was a fox, maybe? Is that possible?
Sure.
Mariah said, keep in mind,
I mean, they're-
you guys understand, it's all being recorded.
smaller.
yes, I know, and I can't shut it off.
We're trying to,
They're usually
you're
about that.
being
Oh, the poop was like
recorded.
that, yeah, sir. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, and this is for you to sign,
Okay.
Can't pick
and
anything
along
else.
with the other one, but
Possums
I'll
have
get
gotten
those
it
to
at
you.
times.
It's just a copy of the
see
supervisor's
where-
report.
Oh, this is
It's
too
got
much
to
already.
you
Thank you.
As far as how much money is in the bank account.
I printed
You've
that.
got that,
I printed. that.
along with that account analysis. That
I
you put
printed
that
it out.
accountant.
This looks like a sign.
Say, after the public hearing, I'm gonna scoot back to the office and zoom in. Cause I'm gonna keep.
You try multi-speaker view.
We're trying what?
Said you try multi-speaker view.
Hey, Greg, you do anything,
No,
anything else with your hair? You're looking really different today.
His mustache, he shaved his
It's
beard.
getting big, hey? So that's hair.
No, it's the face. It's not the
Yeah.
hair.
No, this is hair too.
Yeah, that was short in a while. ago.
Well,
Facial
it's the
hair.
other stuff.
Thanks, you know, his other hair is short.
He's looking a little butch there. Wyatt Earpish, really totally Wyatt Earpish.
Just so we know. this is cool.
People, yeah.
okay. No.
I'm gonna call you Wyatt.
Well, that works,
Okay,
okay.
you know who I'm talking to.
So we-
Say your water?
Okay.
Wyatt doesn't drink water, he drinks.
Let's see, guess it's okay, the screen could be flipped a little bit. This way. Doesn't catch Paul very well. Are we ready?
I suppose. It's a bit zoomed in. Yeah.
I'm so tired.
He's here.
You're gonna see me in a minute.
Where's the captain today?
He had to go down and buy something. He's coming, he'll be on his way back.
He will.
After he dropped me off. Yeah, he's coming back.
Good. Up to you.
Okay, so Mariah has started the recording. I think. Oh, yes.
Yes.
Yeah. So let us call the public hearing to order. A little late, 7 after. Is there anyone either here present or on Zoom land who would like to comment on the 2025 preliminary budget?
I would, but I can't find the button to push to raise my hand.
Oh, we hear you, so go ahead.
Okay. So there should be a video too, because I have video connected. Okay. So I have 9 things on the list. I did go through the budget. Number one is I don't think that I have the authority to go to the smaller towns and ask for the salaries of their justices. And I'm requesting you to do that so that we have uh, a better picture of what other towns are paying the justices, since you want to raise the salaries of the justices. But I should say, in general, I object to increasing salaries midterm. Um, Sometimes, and I'm not saying that it's happening now, I'm just saying that in general, sometimes you elect someone to a position and they don't work out, and I don't see why they should be getting a raise midterm. Um, so I'm sort of opposed to that. I would prefer that raises come at the beginning of a term, so they would be authorized at the end of the term, and then going into the next term, the person would get a raise. That's sort of my philosophy on how these things should be done. So that's the salary of justices. I would like to know what the other towns are paying their justices. Number 2, newsletter, $25,000. I don't know exactly how many mailboxes we have in Danby, but I just picked 1,500 as a general number and then crunched the numbers easily, and it came out to $1.38 per issue, per mailbox every month. So we're talking roughly $15 we're spending per person to give them the news about the town. And I thought that was really very high. I don't want to say outrageous, but that's probably what I'm thinking. Um, and I'm hoping you can somehow do better on that, and with a lot of other things. Number 3, central communications. I was surprised to find that certain people are getting cell phones. And I was wondering who that was and why they are getting cell phones. So maybe you could answer that later after I'm done with my questions. Number 4, so, and that was for Laura's benefit, that was at A 1650.420, $3,500 for cell phones. It seemed like an awful lot of money is being spent on phones, and we went through this, I remember very clearly, with Janice trying to get decent prices on cell phones. Surely somebody should be able to help us with this other than asking Mariah to do it, because I don't consider it her job. Number 4, Beardsley Lane, $160. And I was wondering what that was for. It didn't really say. So I would like to know what that's for. Number 5, why is there nothing this is probably for Laura, why is there nothing in A 5132.4000 garage? Something to do with the garage, but there wasn't anything there. Number 6, as you know, I'm opposed to spending $7,000 on a lifeguard, and I want everybody who's on here, there aren't very many. I guess the budget's a rather dry topic. But of the 37 days that it was open, 20 days had no people. So the lifeguard was guarding the fish, and they don't really need a lifeguard. So I really think it's a waste of money. I would, if you want some sort of, to build a swimming pool, then build a swimming pool.
Oh.
7, it isn't clear to me yet, even though I've been attending the meetings and listening to discussions about the Youth Commission, what the $34,550 is really for. It's a lot of money, in my opinion. I've never lived anywhere where so much money was spent per child. So I would like an explanation of that. Number 8, I'd like to know what the project assistant is doing for $11,532, and that's A410.113. What is the town clerk project assistant doing for $11,532? And the number 9 is the town clerk in general, and we've had some discussion about this. And I just want to say that I think there's something going on here, and I don't want to put the blame on the town board, but I don't understand why our last town clerk had pretty much of a meltdown over the fact that she felt that she had a lot of duties. And the current town clerk has expressed a similar thought. And yet, when you look at you look at section 30 of town law, which is the powers and duties of the town clerk, there isn't really very much to do except at tax time. And there isn't, not only is there not very much to do, it's really a part-time job. And I'm very much opposed, again, to raising the salary of the town clerk for a part-time job. When you go through Mariah's one-page list in the newsletter, there are no project management requirements for the town clerk in section 30. No one requires the town clerk to license dogs, and no one requires the town clerk to sell decals. She does that voluntarily of her own free will. In addition, the website is definitely not described in section 30, and therefore a good part of what Mariah is complaining about really isn't a duty, a power or duty of the town clerk. And somehow we have got to resolve this problem where elected town clerks are complaining about their jobs and feeling that they are put upon or overworked, whatever you want to call it, when they're being paid $46,000. So I would like to resolve that, since Mariah has indicated that she's not going to be running for in the next session, and that gives us a number of months to figure out why people seem to not understand the powers and duties of the town clerk. They really haven't changed over the years. And so it's not like the state is playing games or anything. The state has been really very consistent with its powers and duties. And so I think that needs to be resolved. So I would like to hear from maybe Laura and others as to all of these issues that I've raised. And thank you, Leslie, for looking up at me as if you're paying attention. So I appreciate that. Good. And Paul too.
I'm inclined to hear from everybody, and then
Is it okay if We'll do this if I could give Rhonda a
Yes.
call tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I could give you, I have an explanation for all of these things.
she probably can't hear you that far away.
I'm sorry, Rhonda. I've got these written down. I've got an explanation for all of these things that you brought up. Do you have some time tomorrow where I could just give you a call and we could spend a little bit of time talking about them? Would that be something that would work for you with this?
Sure, yeah, you could call me in the afternoon anytime.
Beautiful. I'll do that.
Okay. And I'll email you my phone number.
Oh, good. I'll look for it.
Whoops. Gary,
The only thing I want to say is I want to respond to Rhonda that I can let her know that the town justices in Danby are the second lowest paid justices in the county. That's all I wanted to say.
okay. Ted,
Now, I think I can be a little more brief than Rhonda was, mostly because I'm going to talk about conceptual issues rather than particular issues. I've been preoccupied and occupied with other matters, and really the only thing I know for sure is what I read in Joel's article in the Town Board News, which is that you did not exceed the tax cap, for which I congratulate you. I would like to temper that somewhat by saying that ideally you would not exceed last year's budget. In other words, zero budget growth. And I do believe that with better cost controls, better, more frugal spending, not approving the $1,000 here and the $5,000 there, because after all, after a while, it does add up to real money. I think you could have been under basically a negative budget growth, which with the increase in assessed value in the town would have actually meant lowering taxes, which is always a good idea. I think that's it. I think I'm glad you're under the tax cap. I think you could have done better.
good, thanks. Anybody else want to comment? Well, hearing none, let's close the public hearing. And call the regular meeting to order. Are there additions or deletions to the agenda? It might be worth talking about, since I didn't succeed in getting hold of Leslie. Might be worth talking about how we can get Mariah some help in responding to the questions that the code people have asked as part of it.
We're working on it.
You are?
Yeah.
Okay, that's what I was hoping
Yeah.
you would, but I didn't hear.
We
that.
met.
Yeah.
Well, that's on the agenda, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. Is
I
it?
thought it was. Maybe I'm wrong.
We didn't think I put it on.
Maybe it's not on the
Total
agenda.
report, but I didn't see a code.
No,
Oh, I thought it would be under her town clerk report, but anyway. Yeah, we could add that, I guess.
yeah, at the end.
Yeah.
Anything else?
I just had one, maybe it was a question for Gary, that, does the library know that they may not be able to be here possibly on the 12th of December? Do they know that, Gary?
Yes,
They
they
do.
are aware.
Okay, good, that's all I had, okay.
Okay. I see that we have, well, let's do privilege of the floor. Does anybody else want to say anything that they haven't already said as part of the hearing? Ted?
Thank you. Thank you. Let me start by reminding those of you who haven't had a chance to take advantage of early voting by mail, absentee voting, and all of the frills. That tomorrow is the general election day. And I hope to see all of you at the firehouse in the Danby Volunteer Fire Company station meeting room to vote. On your agenda tonight, I guess the first thing that caught my eye was the change from what Joel wrote in the Town Board News, that he would like to firm up exactly the structure, et cetera, of the Regulatory Review Committee, is now changed to actually appointing them. And I'll come back to what were recorded as my comments in the minutes of the last meeting. Basically, that involving the public from the beginning of many activities, whether it's zoning or regulatory review or any of that, is a very important goal. And I thank Mariah for putting my comments in there in full. It's a very important goal. Whereas in this case, you not only have not announced the availability of positions to this, but you basically pre-selected people. And I think you could do better than that. And other than that, I think it's really sad. I don't know that it's anybody's fault in this room, but it's really sad that you have to basically spend a whole bunch of money on a new phone system. That's kind of just really sad.
I agree with that any more than you.
Yeah, it really makes me wonder whether this could have been foreseen, or some decision made early on to protect yourselves. And by that, I do not mean a yet another maintenance contract, but selecting the right provider in the first place. Anyway, I don't want to drag this out. Please enjoy your meeting. I'll be listening. Thank you.
Good, thanks. Anyone else for privilege of the floor? Seeing none, let's move on.
Well, maybe I should say one thing. I should say thank you to the Danby Fire Department for participating in the big fire.
Yeah.
And
Oh, the one downtown?
yeah, it was good. And glad that all the towns worked together so nicely.
Great time to have a fire.
Right.
It's dry up there.
I guess maybe I'll take one more second. I did receive today in the mail from the Census Bureau something that I just want to make sure that if people happen to hear this or see it, these are completely legal. It's from the census. It says you have to answer your answer is required by law. And it has to do with the American Community Survey, and some people will have been selected, and I feel very fortunate that I got selected.
You were one.
Yeah. So I know this because of when I was working for the census as one of the options for an additional job that was available. But so far, they're hoping to be able to do it with computer, so they can try to save money.
Mm-hmm.
So if you get one of those, it says Census, United States Census, your response is required by law. It is true, it is good, and it's safe. It's not a scam.
Mm-hmm.
That's all. Now I'm done.
Oh, interesting. The government could tell you have to respond, but
Yep,
Really?
they need it.
if not, it's going to jail you, right?
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
So I see we have a letter from the DOT saying, yep, we got your request. We'll work on it.
Okay.
Is that the speed limit?
Yeah.
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 So they do an evaluation, takes them a while, and then they'll tell you why they agree or disagree. The announcements are as required in our rules of order. Someone say something?
Mm-mm.
The positions are all listed here on the agenda that are expiring. We haven't, well, I haven't heard who's responded, but we need to make sure everybody gets contacted.
Um,
Oh, while you're talking about,
We got some applications.
Yeah, who wants to re-up, basically.
Right.
well, and I should say that maybe, it was suggested to me today that maybe we make sure that people know that, Jamie Sorrentino does not want to
Yeah,
re-up, so
sad.
people that, if he got, a
Mhm.
more intense job, and, we do need people on the youth commission.
Would he be on, do you think he'd be on the youth commission and not be chair?
No, he's way
Neither.
too.
Okay.
Yeah,
It's a no, a firm no.
That's too bad.
yeah.
Yeah, it is
I
too
know it
bad.
is too bad. He's wonderful.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's done a fine job this year.
Okey doke.
Okay, reports and presentations. We have some of them in writing. Supervisor's report, clerk report, and code officer's report.
Planner.
And the planner is here to give that report.
Hello. So start off with a couple of planning board meetings. We had a little bit of a chaotic October. The planning board meeting on October 15th, there was not a quorum. So
Mhm.
anything that was discussed and tried to deliberate on, but was not official business. There is still a write-up though on it. Cindy did put together some unofficial minutes or
Mhm.
just acknowledging
Record of
there was a
activity, so to speak.
meeting. But there was a presentation of the City of Ithaca Drinking Water Source Protection Plan build-out analysis. So as you know, the City of Ithaca gets its drinking water from part of 6 Mile Creek Watershed, which goes into the town of Danby. And they had some recommendations that I thought were very relevant, for Danby's environmentally, focus of protecting certain environmental resources. So those recommendations and that report was passed on to all town board members. We're figuring out where to house it online or
Mhm.
house it in it might just go on the planning page. It wasn't a document prepared by town of Danby, so
Was it a copy of their presentation?
I got the presentation after I sent the report, but I haven't sent the presentation. They only gave it to me, I think, last week. So I'd
Oh,
like
okay.
to put it somewhere online and,
I don't think I got it.
yeah, so I can send it to everyone.
Yeah.
But kind of on that, we're looking at redoing some of the planning and zoning webpage anyway, and
Mhm.
we might have a sort of a link of resources.
Yeah.
Or, something to that nature where this thing can be put. And read by
I
the
think
public.
the CAC wants to do the same sort of thing. So
Yeah,
if there's a combination idea that comes from one or the other to be shared with how we might do that, it'd be great.
okay. It's good to know. So then the planning board did hold a special meeting on October 29th. There were a couple of subdivision cases for review. The one at 201 Jersey Hill Road, minor subdivision to subdivide 10 acres from the 70-acre parcel was approved. At 202 Jersey Hill Road, across the street, the proposal is to subdivide also 10 acres from the 87-acre parcel. There was a sketch plat review of that. Public hearing is scheduled for this month's meeting to take action on that. And also there was a sketch plat review of a cannabis retail dispensary at 1429 Danby Road. That's the corner of Muzzy and 96B.
Mhm.
So that was the site of a motorcycle shop and a bookstore.
Mhm.
And then there was a daycare proposal, and that provider was going through the process, and then she found it was just too cost prohibitive to make the building upgrades, which was unfortunate. It would have been a great site for a
Would've been nice.
daycare center. But she withdrew her application. So this cannabis retail dispensary, they're called Altitude Ithaca or Ithaca Altitude, right? They are.
I got it right away. Yeah, we got it.
So there's a public hearing. They're not doing really any site changes whatsoever. It's all interior upgrades. They're similar to daycares. They have a very high state bar to clear. I'm not saying that as a pun intended, but they have a lot of requirements to meet at the state level. So they're going to do some painting for parking lot upgrades, a new handicap spot, They're gonna redo the sign, not many facade upgrades, nothing flashy, or I think maybe a paint job kind of touch up, but nothing too.
This is the gallery, right?
No, at the corner of Muzzy Road and 96B.
Used to be the book.
Way down to the book guy, yeah,
Yeah.
that guy,
Yeah,
not that guy.
So,
not anymore.
so there's a public hearing scheduled for November 19th to take action on that.
And that's a retail, not a
Not a
consumption.
Correct, just the retail, yep. So then moving on into the November 19th meeting, we have a pretty packed agenda. As I said, 202 Jersey Hill Road, minor subdivision, there's a public hearing to take action on that, 2-lot subdivision. 1429 Danby Road is the site plan review for the cannabis retail dispensary. We are going to be seeing a site plan review for 104 Peter Road. This is in the Rural One Zone District. The Rural One Zone District requires site plan review if your accessory structure coverage goes over 400 square feet. Fairly small. So this person is proposing 464 square feet.
Oh, no.
And so they're going through site plan review. And then the last one is Ithaca Waldorf School at 20 Nelson Road is subdividing off 2 12-acre lots from their 81-acre parcel.
Oh.
So one lot will be off 96B and one lot will be off of Nelson. And so they're doing this. I was a little worried when I saw this, if they're in some financial straits, but
Right.
they're doing some future planning, and it sounds like that they would like to, maybe the next 5 to 10 years, expand into have a high school and have early childhood education center, which would be a major project
Wow.
for them.
Yeah.
But so they're trying to get in order for that.
Wow.
So they're selling off 2 12-acre lots. So they're coming in, that's a standard subdivision, or otherwise a major subdivision. So there's a few steps they have to go through. So the first review will be November 19th. And then lastly, tomorrow's the deadline to submit, but we might see a proposal for a contractor shop on the property that's adjacent to the highway property. There's a 3-acre parcel on Hornbrook Road, Zone Hamlet neighborhood, and a local contractor, TP Pro, he's around.
Yeah,
Timothy
lives right
Pettaway.
here, down
Right,
here.
yep, on Hornbrook. So he's looking at that site to build a contractor shop.
They've been around a long time. I think probably it's a son, it's because the other guys he's not as old as I am. I mean,
It sounds like it's a father-son duo.
It's a father-son duo, yeah, great, they've got a good reputation, and,
So which lot is? which lot?
It's the one, it's the lot closer to 96B, so it's on the
Is it the
east,
house lot?
west side of the driveway. So when you're going up
Yeah.
Hornbrook, it's before the drive.
Is that the house lot?
No, that direction.
The house it's a horseshoe lot. So that house right there, 93 Hornbrook, is in the middle of this horseshoe around.
That's weird.
Coincidentally, today I was actually on that same site because I was meeting with somebody else to look at developing up to 4 dwelling units, which is allowed by right, and agriculture. They're the same group that has that controversial property up on Hornbrook Road to do that farming community. So they're looking at this site as another option to do it. So
is it either or both?
in terms of both their sites or both of the applicants?
Do they want both
the
sites?
Yeah, they're just gonna keep that other site for now, as I don't think they want to sell it off immediately. They just want to hold on to it and but they just got a pretty large grant from the US Department of Agriculture to actually purchase land for the type of work, which
So does that horseshoe lot include the old barn? Goes around the little chicken shack?
I don't know if we're talking about the same lot. It's as you turn off onto Hornbrook and just before you get to the highway
Right.
department, there's a vacant lot.
Oh, there's a lot
Before you get to the highway. Yeah.
before
Right.
highway.
right.
Oh,
There's a
okay.
house there on the right, 93
Yeah.
Hornbrook, and this
And
lot,
then
that I'm
there's a
talking about,
lot that has to
sort
be
of-
mowed. Yeah.
right,
Yeah, that's the mowing, that was the mowing one.
Is it three?
I think that when Paul asked the question, if he asked, I was thinking, are they both looking at, these two applicants looking at the same property?
correct. And that happens when you get, when a property goes online.
Right.
You might, I think it's rare in Danby, there's not a lot of development
Wow.
pressure, but in a place like Ithaca, you might see multiple people going for different approvals at the same time.
Right.
So the contractor doesn't want the warehouse.
That's what I thought.
Yeah, that's what I was
You
thought
know
too.
what it is, what it sounds like. I mean, and I'm not, there's only so much I can know about private sort of dealings, but,
Right.
so I asked that, I said, there's a warehouse right there. It's commercially zoned. It sounds, that's on a lot that is, almost 100 acres.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
It is.
And so I think that the owner of that, isn't quite entertaining the idea of maybe subdividing off a smaller parcel for that commercially zoned property.
Yeah, that's the same thing that Phil found out.
Yes. Well,
Yeah,
I mean, he may consider it, but it's been a long time on the market, so.
That's it for development review. There was no Board of Zoning Appeals meeting in October, and it's likely there won't be one in November. Tomorrow's the deadline for that. The special event law, as you saw from my memo, there was some new information brought up from Guy Crow that may change the content of the law a little bit. I really haven't had a chance to
Yeah.
propose anything. I think given me a little bit of time, I could work something up and pass it forward, but so we can talk about it then. My last update is that the request for proposal for the Drainage District #1 stormwater facilities restoration, which is down on Beardsley Lane. There's 2 stormwater ponds that were built during the construction. They've been overgrown for many, many years, and what has to be done now is that they have to be dredged, dug out, yeah, which so we just posted the RFP last Friday, giving people 3 weeks to respond to that. I'll be meeting with a contractor on site this Thursday, actually, somebody local too, local contractor reached out and wants to go walk the property.
Oh, cool.
So I'm tipping to get a project going. Questions?
Well, I do, but mostly because there's slippage in my brain these days. So this pond is used for fire prevention?
No, it's just a
Nope.
detention pond.
These are stormwater ponds, so yeah, just during heavy rain events, these ponds will just
they're
kind of hold the
hold
water
water.
before they all rush down to Buttermilk Creek.
Okay, but how did I do that? I don't know.
It was part of the stormwater pollution prevention plan for that subdivision.
Yeah, that got overlooked along with everything else.
Yeah, and they had to form a drainage district, so David West, my predecessor, did that, and it took a little bit of time to get that all organized, and now the next step is yearly maintenance, so we're on the first year maintenance, some of that, there is money in escrow that the town has, which will help to offset it. The rest of the cost is gonna go to the homeowners, divided equally among them, to pay for that, and then there will be ongoing maintenance every year, to do that. So more on that, once we get the quotes back from contractors, the estimate initially was $10,000, which really isn't much. That was a 2021 figure. So
Wow.
we'll see.
It's not, but it's not that much work if you.
No,
Yeah, but that's
but-
not our business anyway.
Yeah.
4 years.
They're gonna work on it.
This is 4
years.
Come up with a number.
Yep,
Yeah.
full meetings.
Usually how it goes.
thank you.
Minutes. Would it be, it's in order. I move we approve both sets of minutes, October 21st and October 25th.
I'll second that.
Any discussion?
Just jump over everybody else.
Okay, Mariah.
Connors,
Yes.
Hanson. Hunter,
Yes.
Woodworth,
Yes,
Gagnon.
Yes.
Thank you.
Now we have a double abstract.
Really?
Joy. It was a lot of fun going through 6 months worth of credit cards.
I'd like to move abstract 21. The general fund vouchers. Did anybody else come up with, it was 408 through 420?
Oh, really?
And what I have is $17,267.79.
Yikes. Oops, pardon me.
What did she say?
I said yikes because it's not the amount I have, but you know,
There was a 602 tax, I assume that's the difference.
it could be,
And
yeah.
actually, it was Laura sent out a second.
Right.
a
Oh,
second
got
one,
you.
and
Yes,
That's where I got that figure, and
Thank-
it does, and it goes to 420 also, but,
okay, it goes to 420 and it's 17,000.
$17,267.79.
Thank you.
We added 2 vouchers and lost a few dollars. How about that?
I know, well, there was something.
Mhm.
There was tax on one of them.
So I'll move that.
Okay. I'll second it. Any discussion about it? Not hearing any, so
No.
Ryan?
Connors,
Yes,
Hanson,
Yes.
Hunter,
Yes.
Woodworth,
Yes,
Gannon.
Yes.
Thank you.
I move the highway fund, abstract 21, vouchers, 202 through 206 for $3,770.54.
a second.
Did you hear that, Ryan? Pat seconded.
Yes, yes, I heard that.
Any discussion? It's not. Okay.
Connors,
Yes,
Hanson,
Yes.
Hunter,
Yes.
Woodworth,
Yes,
Gannon.
Yes.
Thank you.
welcome.
So I gather you're a little reluctant to do the abstract 20.
Somebody else can do that.
I'll move the general fund credit card vouchers 364 to 407 for $15,136.70. And I hope we never have to do this again.
Which
Yes,
one,
let's
which
hope.
one was that? The general
The
fund.
General fund, the very first one on the list.
Yeah. We need a second.
I'll second Pat.
Okay. No discussion. I think it was Leslie made the point that there's a bunch of
Sales tax on it.
sales tax, yeah.
I mean, we're talking, some of it was $30.
Yeah.
I mean, that's.
But, we're looking at,
Huh?
going all the way back to January, so
No.
it's hard to go,
No, but
it's hard to chase that.
I think and I know it's complicated, and if you end up at I have to carry a little credit card and a tax exempt number in my wallet for where I work, and I just, you just don't leave the store with tax on the bill.
Mhm. But
and-
these are all,
Huh?
yeah, a lot of these were internet purchases, though.
A lot of them were things like Staples. Staple has, they
They have
They have it
we have an
on
account. with them.
file.
Yeah.
I mean, and I know it's easy to get distracted or you're in a hurry or whatever, but, $30.45, $2.71, $6.48, $4.14. I had to stop looking at it.
Mhm.
We will chase those.
Yeah, well, I mean, and it's too late, I think, to take them off, so.
Yes.
Some of them we might be able to, but.
I don't know.
Well, we have paid, they went through the credit card system, so we do
Right.
have to, we have to pay them when they come in.
Right.
As you see, that part of things got a little behind, but we are chasing them. And once we have our complete list of those, we go down in person. We will go down in person to the stores and get that resolved and have our backup with us. So that's what we've been doing when some of those things happen.
Yeah,
Like we will
yeah.
go to Home Depot or to Lowe's and say, okay,
Right.
whoever came in and made this purchase, and now with it caught back up again, we can catch those things. And we
Catch it.
have told employees too, please, when you have to go down, you have to do any of this, we really have got to be very conscious of looking at the receipt when you walk out.
Yeah,
Mhm. But particularly where it's purchased from, vendors for which we have a registered account. It should
Yeah.
be not just a matter of pointing it out when you make the purchase.
yeah.
And we're hoping what they'll do is be able to credit us back a lump sum of that.
Mhm.
when They see
Yeah.
the dollar amount.
That would be cool. Yeah,
Yeah.
thanks.
We'll keep you posted on that progress of that.
Okay.
Mhm. Other discussion? Hearing none. Mariah? Whoop. Go ahead.
Never mind.
Didn't want to cut you off.
Never mind, it was a different issue. It was the amount we spend on a small bottle of, was it
Ibuprofen?
ibuprofen?
Yeah, right.
Laura explained that.
Yeah. I
We
think
got an
so.
email that Laura explained it. It wasn't the small bottle, it was other work as well.
That's not what the bill said.
That's what Laura said in her email. She sent an
They
email out.
check, they
this
check
afternoon.
expiration dates and things like that. When they
Yeah, yeah.
But that was what was charged for.
Which one?
Sometimes, bills occasionally come that way, they're not sort of appropriately described.
$44.
Yeah.
It was Cintas, bill for, it was, 408 for $44.40. And the only thing that was on there, besides checking expiration dates, checking supplies, was small bottle of ibuprofen. And that's what they had.
Wow. Can you
And,
send that voucher
the
number?
highway, that was town hall, highway, it looked to me like it was the same sort of thing. And it looked like it was 2 boxes of gloves for $75. I mean, I don't know, I think it'd be good if we started looking at this, that's all. Okay, never mind, go. That's my 2 cents.
Agreed.
I did write an email I think, to have a guy come out and do an inspection on the box might have cost $40. And the ibuprofen might have been around $4 or $5.
Okay, that's not what
I
the
don't-
bill said, yeah.
Okay,
As I said,
well,
Yeah.
okay, we'll look into it.
Yeah, well, I think we could look into, and I know they're a major supplier for things like that. I know it's important for highway to have somebody come look at things and make sure, things are okay. I'll come check the town hall boxes if it's gonna pay me half of that. But anyway, it's just something I think we should deal with.
we pay pretty good money to have somebody do that for us.
I know. Okay.
Okay, ready now? Yeah.
Yes,
Okay, go ahead.
Connors,
I'm abstaining.
Hanson,
Yes.
Hunter,
Yes,
Woodworth,
Yes,
Gagnon.
Yes.
Thank you.
I'll move the highway fund credit card vouchers 198 to 201 for 34362.62.
I'll second that. I didn't see any issues with those. What did you?
what did you say?
I didn't see any issues with those.
Oh.
Did some sales tax in there too. Some of the same thing. And again, we're chasing the sales tax, so,
Yeah.
yeah. Any discussion further? Nope. Okay, all right.
Connors,
Abstain.
Hanson,
Yes.
Hunter,
Yes.
Woodworth,
Yes,
Gagnon.
Yes.
Thank you.
move the water fund credit card vouchers 31 to 34 for 1,926.18.
Second. Didn't see any problem there.
No.
Any discussion or comment? Well, good then.
Connors,
Yes.
Hanson,
Yes.
Hunter,
Yes.
Woodworth,
Yes,
Gagnon.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
So moving on to business, we got now a clean copy of the
Yeah.
animal control agreement for 2025. Which has the same amount as 2024, I
Right.
believe, so that's good news. Any comment?
No, it was just interesting. It's for 2 years instead of 3. Which is just
Yeah, it kind of,
different.
yes, and that almost sort of, it's not like it was a group decision to do it that way, it's kind of what Jim proposed.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if it'll mean anything,
Mhm.
but just, well, it means we have to sign another contract in 2 years. And maybe they're planning ahead because it's the same fee as started in 2013.
Mhm.
So,
For like
Um,
pounding and,
so it's been 10 years at the same cost.
yeah,
So maybe they're thinking 2 more years of that and it's going up.
mhm.
Could be.
Well, it would not be surprising,
But it's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
2 questions. This is SPCA
yeah.
and it's a county service.
Yeah.
And it's
No,
our
no,
It's
it's not, there are several towns that have
joined together.
joined together,
True.
excluding all towns in the county except for Lansing and Dryden, who do their own thing.
They do their own, okay.
So
Yeah.
well, the interesting thing that came out of the meetings we had was that it came to light that Danby is the only town in the group that doesn't ticket people who don't renew,
Who don't what?
who don't renew their licenses. Every other town does. And the SPCA staff said, we'd be happy to do it for Danby if you want us to.
Is it an issue?
Evidently, because we have some scofflaws now, basically refuse to renew some of the prominent people.
I thought we,
You know, it's an indoor dog, it never goes out, you know, why should I bother getting a rabies vaccination or getting my dog license? Well, if you happen to have a visitor and a dog bites the visitor and doesn't have a rabies vaccination, you're gonna lose your dog.
Right.
So it's a public health thing, you know.
well, we should look at that.
Yeah.
I said that they'll remit to the municipality all impoundment and license fees that are collected by them. Do we get that?
Monthly. We write a check every month.
Or we write a check?
Well, it depends on, yes, if they impound a dog, we'll write a check.
If they impound a dog, they don't let it back until unless it's appropriately licensed, right?
I don't believe that's the case. They let us know that they have a dog that is not licensed, and we send them a letter and we give them a call, and we hope that they come and license their dog.
Okay.
But do we ever get anything from the SPCA?
Or fines?
Yes, they
We
they
do.
do send us an occasional check.
Okay, all right. I didn't know that. maybe it's an opportunity.
Yeah, I mean,
I think it's something that, I mean, it has to be a new contract.
it reads exactly like the old one.
Yeah, but I know if we did if we decided to do the fine for not
Well,
renewing,
everybody else is doing it with the
With
same
that
contract.
oh, with the same contract?
Yeah. So it's just, we have opted not to. They said they'd be happy to do it if we wanted.
So can we decide that, or do we have to have
Yeah.
a hearing for it?
We have to do it. Yeah, all we have to do is decide to do it.
Well,
Encourage the clerk to do that, because that's
We should look
part
at
of the licensing
Yeah.
function.
I think it's.
She doesn't
really
have enough
important
to do, you know, so.
We did add fines on for people being late with things. So,
The other thing some towns have done is increase the fees for doing it at all. For, I think it's been $12.
To get a license?
For license, yeah.
For a spade or
Yeah, spay
auction.
and neuter, right.
Yeah, neuter, right?
And about twice that if it's not.
I don't remember. what
okay,
it is.
well, we should think of it. Do we need to, move this? I
Yeah.
move that we sign,
Authorize
you
this.
sign?
Yeah,
Do we authorize the supervisor to sign the contract?
yep.
I so do.
I'll second that.
Any discussion further? Okay, Mariah.
Connors,
Yes.
Hanson,
Yes.
Hunter,
Yes,
Woodworth,
Yes,
Gagnon.
Yes.
Excellent, thank you.
Next up, new phone service quotes. As you know, we've been told that we have to get new phones. But kind of what forced us to get the phones we got. AT&T said, we're not going to do commercial accounts anymore. You're going to have to find somebody else to do it. So we went with Mitel. Now they've been bought out and the same. And my understanding, and one of the bottom out said, we're not going to do this anymore. You need to find somebody else to do, the phones. So here we are again, 2 years later, having to replace our phones. And Mariah's done some research. She's got 3 quotes. You want to speak to this, Mariah?
Sure, let me share my screen. I'm getting an error message. Come on, share. Well, I can't share my screen. So,
Good.
I talked to 3 reliable telephone people. I got a quote from Vonage, Ring Central, and TCNS, our information systems technology provider. And they're looking like the best deal. They're very close to Ring Central. There is an advantage, a slight advantage.
I tried again because I made you co-host. You should be able to share.
Oh, thank you. There we go. Can you,
Yes.
I mean.
is that the right?
Yep.
Can you see the Ring Central TCNS, or are you seeing my sunset? Oh, very
No,
good,
we're seeing the full page here with the 3 quotes.
very good.
TCMS, the same one that
Yes.
the highway department is using?
Ne-
No?
No,
TCNS.
PCNS is the computer system.
there are
IT people.
there's Triple Cities Network Solutions. That's our IT
Uh-huh.
bunch. They're offering to do phones too.
Correct, it's a VoIP service. It's very similar to Ring Central. Vonage is a little bit different. Mitel has partnered with Ring Central, so Mitel is basically handing the business over to Ring Central. Ring Central, even though we have these relative, 2-year-old phones, and I have a couple of new phones in boxes, they are telling me that we will need new phones. They Maybe we could use the old phones, but every single phone needs to be reconfigured.
Mhm.
So Ring Central might be the least amount of inconvenience, but it's really kind of up in the air between Ring Central and TCNS.
What are other towns doing? Do we know?
No, I can certainly reach out to other towns and find out. I know that, I believe the county uses Ed and Ed uses Vonage.
I confess I don't fully understand the quotes. So some of this is so much to get set up the first time, and then there's an annual recurring charge, right?
Yes, that's
So which-
per,
what?
So the
Annual charges to the
for
right.
TCNS, the annual setup is 2,700 basically.
Yeah,
And
right, so
then
that's,
after that, it's,
$4,400 a year?
yeah,
okay,
which is less than what we have budgeted now for the phone.
so
correct.
then Ring Central, I don't see sort of so the initial setup is 3,000.
Right there. There's minimal setup there. They just want us to buy the phones, 13 phones for $248.
A piece?
No, they're 248 a piece, yes,
Each?
It's pretty expensive.
each.
Wow. Made out of,
iPhones.
If they're not,
huh,
they're desktop.
Yeah. Huh. So, and then it's $4,500 a year after that.
Correct.
1,000.
And I'm feel a little stressed about them going in with Mitel, and then who knows what's gonna happen. If Mitel already did this, and then Mitel's going to Ring Central, then I don't feel that that's a very
Safe.
trusting, I don't feel confident about that.
Be one thing if they were willing to use the old phones, but why should they
Right,
not? you know?
right.
Yeah.
Benefit of TCNS is if they're doing other work here,
Yeah,
it'd probably be easy to get in touch with them and have them come and do something.
if there's a problem.
Plus, it's not tied to the contract, it's not tied to the
No, no,
IT
no.
contract.
It's,
I know,
but it's the same
I know.
company.
Separate
I know,
That means we have
meaning-
that contact.
meaning-
How long have they been in the phone business? TCNS.
My understanding is that they have started, I don't know how long they've been doing it, but I
Mhm.
think that this is a separate thing that they do.
Right,
So what I was going to say is if we were at the end of our contract for the IT and the county came through with something, we probably could still have them do the phone.
oh,
is
yeah,
What I was getting
but I
at.
know that, like, they were sort of new-ish with doing town
Yeah,
Yeah,
this
IT
town.
stuff.
Town IT.
Are they also, how,
much
is
phone
the
stuff?
phone system also a new thing for them?
No, I don't know. I don't
I
know.
don't,
I don't know.
Questions you want to call and ask Drew, though.
What is your experience with phone systems? Do you want to know,
I mean,
what their qualifications are, right?
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
who else uses them? It'd be nice to talk to somebody
Yeah,
who uses them. I mean, that might be
That would be pretty
sort of a
easy.
way to go,
That'd be
is to
pretty
get,
easy.
to ask them, find out who's using either any of these systems and how are they finding the,
how are they going? How are they
Yeah.
going? Yeah. Do you have time to do any of this?
huh?
Do you have time to do any of this?
Well, I could, I mean, I don't know if it's something that somebody, if
Mariah's done it, but
Mariah's
not because she
already-
feels like it's, something that she necessarily should do. But, just sort of jumping into the void, somebody's got to do it.
Well, I did have a meeting with Drew from TCNS, and I could certainly call him and ask him these questions. It's not a big deal.
I think it'd be worth checking around and see what others are doing.
Yeah.
I mean, we went with
Wasn't-
Mitel in the first place because others were doing it.
right.
So what are they doing?
Who's using Vonage?
County.
Tompkins County?
I think I believe it's Tompkins County. I know they're using Ed and Ed. I'm not sure, and Ed and Ed is who gave me the quote for Vonage. I don't know if the county is using the phone system from Ed and Ed.
Okay.
I can look into that.
Never heard of it, isn't it?
I like that. He's like Mr. Ed,
Mhm.
Mr. Ed.
Should
I
see
remember
what it
Mr.
says you're
Ed.
saying.
Yes.
Huh?
You should see what it says you're saying. I use the captions.
Oh, do you?
Oh, that's fun.
So the transcript will say.
When do we have to have this done?
End of the year,
Oh,
Soon.
December.
No.
No.
end of This,
This year.
end of this year.
Yeah,
so we can do it next meeting, so we can get this information for the next town meeting.
Yeah.
But we need to act pretty soon. Because it needs to happen.
if you want me to help you with it, Mariah, I can call
I
some of
mean,
them.
I don't mind calling.
We just need to get on to the
Get
next
numbers.
item.
Yes, right.
Joseph,
Okay, I'll make some calls. Not a big deal.
how long is the contract for? Single year? Is there,
Contract was for 2 or 3 years.
well, that's good to hear, at least.
Mhm.
Okay,
A
and I
quick-
keep asking to replace all the phones.
A quick question. Yeah, are these charges in addition to the phone company at the charges for the actual calls, or they include all the
No,
calls?
they include
Because
Include
this
the
is
calls.
VoIP.
Unlimited calling?
it's VoIP. I believe so.
Yeah, because it's VoIP, right?
I am positive that TCNS and Ring Central are VoIP. I am not quite sure about Vonage.
Oh, it is.
It's what Vonage is.
Thank you.
Vonage is old, been around a long, long time.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
It doesn't mean they haven't updated their,
It doesn't mean anything, it's
Yeah.
just they've been around a long time.
So, I mean, I'll help look into it
So
too.
it seems like we're leaning towards
Mhm.
TCNS, not Ring Central,
I
as
don't know.
Vonage is,
I don't know.
no?
well,
Those are leanings.
I think what we're leaning towards is getting more information so we
Yeah,
have a better
that's it.
handle on it. You know,
Okay,
So we'll come back to that.
Okay. Trying to do something up for next meeting.
Yes.
Okay.
Let's see. Oh, yes, the budget. Oh, yeah, the budget.
Where are you?
At the budget. So we have two options at this point. We could adopt the budget, or we could choose to modify it if we wanted.
Question.
Hmm? What's your pleasure?
I was in Oregon, so how did the meetings go?
Well, it went really well, I thought.
Yeah.
Pretty streamlined, good,
Yeah,
so clear cut.
the last meeting in particular, where we focused specifically on the budget, was a really good meeting.
Yep.
Um,
I move we approve the budget proposal, whatever.
the Preliminary budget I presented.
That's it. Budget.
I'll be happy to second that. Any discussion? I think we're ready, right?
Counters?
Thank you for all your work, Laura.
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah.
Oh, my pleasure. Thank you, guys. You guys are so great to work with every year on this. I have to say it's a pleasure to be working with a municipality. With the supervisor and the board, you take this so seriously and dive into everything that you can dive into to make this good for the town. So that's, as an employee, I appreciate that and I love that. So thanks.
And I can add that it's a pleasure working with Laura.
Well, you guys make my job feel good.
Getting slowly out here.
Are you ready?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, Mariah?
Counters?
Yes.
Hanson?
Yes,
Hunter?
Yes.
Woodworth?
Yes,
Gagnon?
Yes.
Thank you. Great.
Yeah. Next item, proposed local law to amend senior disability tax exemption law. This is something that Blake brought up. You recall he wanted to add a more inclusive language to describe spousal partners, he put it, not just husband and wife. Right. I checked with Guy, see whether or not we were wedded to that language, and we're not, because the statute actually refers to married couples.
Right.
And so he said I should check with Jay, Franklin. But if Jay's okay with it, it's okay to proceed. Jay was okay with it. His preference was to go with married couple.
Yeah.
Rather than just spousal
Right.
partner.
That's my preference too. I don't care about Jay's.
So then I spoke with Blake, or emailed, I don't remember. And Blake was okay with the married couple.
Oh, good.
So that's why this is what's posted, and that's what's in the meeting folder. So if we're okay with all that, we could go ahead and set a public hearing for consideration of amending our law to make that change in wording.
I'd like to move that we set a public hearing for
Next meeting.
the next meeting. Is that
Maybe
enough time?
I think it's enough time.
No time, but we don't have enough, we wouldn't get it out in any publications. If we do it 1st of December, then we could,
We could. You want to wait and do it then?
if there's no rush on it. So
There's
I'd
no
rather
rush on
wait.
it.
First meeting in December?
Yeah. Maybe December 2nd. So you're proposing a public
Public
hearing
hearing
on
December
December 2nd. On this local law to amend our law to change the wording to make it more inclusive in our senior disability tax exemption law. Right. Did you second it already? Has that been seconded yet? I'll second
no.
it. Okay, second. Any discussion? Okay, we're good.
Connors,
Yes.
Hanson,
Yes.
Hunter,
Yes.
Woodworth,
Yes,
Gagnon.
Yes.
Thank you.
Despite what has been said, thought pretty much agreed last time that we would have a regulatory review committee consisting of town board and planning board members.
Yeah.
And the planning board and town board have both been canvassed as to who would like to be on it. And we have 3 from the planning board who are interested. Colleen Cowan, Kelly Marr, and Scott Davis. And then from the town board, Leslie and me. Anybody else?
You know, of course, I'm interested, but
Well, interested, why not go?
Well, put her name
I
on.
am interested in that.
Pat's
So
told me
from the
no.
planning board, it was Colleen, Scott, and Kelly?
Right. Colleen,
Yes.
Scott, and Kelly.
Okay.
Right.
You know Scott, Colleen who?
Colleen Cowan.
Colleen Cowan.
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 Cowan. COWA.
Cowan?
Cowan.
Oh,
She's the current chair.
I think she had a dog too.
she doesn't have a dog?
She has a dog.
Oh,
So I move that we appoint Colleen Cowan, Kelly Marr, and Scott Davis, and Leslie Connors, and Catherine Hunter, and myself to this regulatory review committee. Anybody wants-
I'll second that.
Oh, you second.
You can't second
I
it.
mean, you should. Well, I could.
Well, you could. I'll second
I'm
it.
sorry, who seconded it?
I did.
Thank you.
All did.
Oh,
She has a louder voice.
Did. Do.
Are we ready? For the vote on that one,
Connors,
Yes.
Hanson,
Yes.
Hunter,
Yes.
Woodworth,
Yes,
Gagnon.
yes.
Thank you.
Proposed amendment to the procurement policy. Greg's gonna explain this.
Yeah.
Well, somebody suggested we put that in there.
Yeah,
Sorry.
yeah. It was
Okay,
Toma
well,
Development Consultants.
Yeah.
They're managing our CDBG grant, and they said that it's okay for now. We already submitted the grant, but here's some recommended language that helps you look good in the eyes of the state.
I thought
That's
that
it.
was what it was.
So I just
Okay.
took their language and put it in where I thought it should go in, and
Yeah. Kathy has a question about it.
Yeah, I'm a little uncomfortable about it.
okay.
I'm uncomfortable because I think that it could set us up for, if we have to email and telephone people and say, by the way, do you want to bid on this? It seems like quite an added burden on us to have to do that. There's an incorrect word in the last page, but that's simple.
I remembered Greg and suggested to Catherine that this only applies above a certain amount, right?
Yeah,
Like a
what's
small
the-
contract.
Soliciting bids?
Hmm?
Soliciting bids?
Well, no, soliciting bids from minority and women-owned businesses.
Yeah, it's when
It's
when
tricky.
it's over 35 grand for, I have to pull up the,
State requirements.
yeah, when it hits when the state requirements get triggered, so it's not for anything's less than, I believe it's 35 grand. If I can-
Which corresponds to the bidding level.
Right.
In the procurement.
So the concern, Catherine, your concern is that,
What if he didn't know if he'd email somebody or call him on the phone and say, do you want to bid on this?
Well, wait a minute. This,
I mean,
first of all, let me just ask a couple, this is just bidding stuff, right?
Mhm.
So there's a process in place where we present the fact that we're asking for bids.
Yep.
And usually there's a couple of it's newspapers,
Well,
right?
there's more with this.
I know, this is what I'm,
but you can include this in that.
right? So there's a process by which we do ask for bids, right? If we get into the position where we're singling out other people to bring them into making bids, couldn't we be liable if we miss somebody that didn't get the call?
there
That's what I
are,
think I'm at.
There's a disclaimer in there, said, failure to doesn't constitute a
Right.
deficiency, but,
It's a tough thing because we know the local contractors, right?
Yeah.
And we always want to involve local contractors in this,
mhm.
but
there are state databases for minority and women-owned businesses that you can use and pull, contractors in the area for that.
What are these?
You're concerned that if we don't call or contact one of those people, then we're gonna be, it's not, it might seem like that, but
We're
it's,
a
Yeah,
really
but-
small town, all things being equal.
Yeah, but I mean, how are we supposed to know who all the people are out there who might be able to do any particular project?
Right, that's the kind of thing.
so some grants, you have to hit a certain percentage of, your work has to be done by a minority or women-owned business. There's a certain percentage of the work or the certain percentage of the cost of services.
Mhm.
Those are for very large projects. I don't know if the CDBG grants, it doesn't look like they had to, like some of our contractors for the homeowner rehabilitation projects, none of them are, I don't believe that they had to do any of that kind of procurement for them. And usually when I've had to deal with them for a grant that I had one time, a state grant, right? You had to show that you made an effort to reach out to firms, so you listed all the firms you reach out to, and if they're minority or women-owned business, you had to declare that.
Mhm.
And just to show that you made an effort to reach out to them, and then you would report responses that you received back. So I don't think this is saying that you need to reach out to everyone. So, you know, it's just making an effort that you're going to do that.
Right,
Okay.
I understand
Can
that.
we
I
go
was
back to
trying to look at.
Our lawyer, this is a question for our lawyer, because it's really a question of all or some. And if we're gonna be, you know, charged with favoritism at all, if we do something, you know, do not include all of them. Or we just include the whole list, right? This is the state list.
Well, according to,
I seem to remember something about this
Yeah.
back in the day.
It being a list of a state list of qualified women and minority-owned businesses from whom one could.
Right,
one
because
could
then
list-
becomes
Department of Labor.
the onus is on those businesses to sign up for that list if they want to be considered one of those.
Mhm.
those
that would
contractors.
be, that I understand.
So that
and
takes us
would
out of the loop if we include everyone on the list. But I want Guy to chime in to say whether or not, I mean, it's something that's possible. Once you did make a letter up, you send it to
Thank
everybody.
you, Laura. Can we ask Laura? She's gonna,
Laura got her hand up. If you could speak to this.
You know, I remember something about this. It was another CDBG grant that we got. And it was for the water tank at the,
Yeah.
remember when we had that big project up there? And then CDBG, they did come in and perform an audit. And Greg, I remember them suggesting that to us at that time too, that we put language into the procurement policy.
yeah.
But what they said is the language in the procurement policy, something that constituted reaching out, is that when we put in the ads, you know, the advertising that we have to put in so many different types of things for bids, when we put the advertisements out there for bids, that would constitute fulfilling that if we put in the advertisement itself
That
wording that we are looking for women,
can't be looking for
Encouraging.
encouraging bids from
these companies to apply.
women, those companies whose women and disabled ownership, or however that is put in
And
there.
I've seen
I
that.
remember that.
At the time, now it could have been changed, that was a long time ago, the putting it in the ad, but they also wanted to see it in our procurement policy. As you said, if we put it in our procurement policy, that we will mention that also in our advertising, or in some way include it in that procurement policy, that we do get more points for that. They're looking for that in the actual policy of the town. So I'm just adding that this has come up before. And if you put it in the advertising, that also helps. Matter of fact, our Brown Road project, we had to have X number of percentage. I think it was 24% or 30. I can't remember the exact percentage. And then anybody who bid on our Brown Road project had to show that they had that, that their company, so they have ownership of their company, sometimes in a woman's name, or a woman is involved in the ownership of that in some way, and they have to have X number of employees that are women within their organization, or meeting some disabled qualification. So JB had that. JB was prepared for that because he does a lot of these types of jobs. JB construction.
So
I was just putting that in there as a backup to you, Greg, to say
Yeah.
this has come up before for the town. And when they audited us, they did look for that, and they did ask us why we do not have that in our procurement policy.
And that's a helpful reminder too, Laura, because when we advertised this last round of CDBG funds to be managed, and I submitted the RFP out, I in my email blurb was minority and women-owned businesses are encouraged to apply, and on the email list, I had to report who I sent it to, and it was over half women or minority-owned businesses. It's usually more women-owned businesses than minority. And we just put that in the RFP for the Beardsley Lane stormwater facilities that we put in, indicating if they're minority-owned business or women business. So I think the direct outreach, to Laura's point, is just making it, putting it out there in outreach if it's going to be direct through email or such.
Well, I have no problem with having, anybody have the job. I just have the problem of whether or not we get sued because, you know.
That's right, we missed somebody. You know,
But
like
if you
your
do-
list, I mean, this is the thing about putting the list out. If the state's providing the list, right? As long as we send out something to every person on that list.
No, we don't need to send
But
that.
I think that,
No,
Or,
no, because that could be the other way around too. Even just any contractor who does anything for the service that you're looking for.
I know,
So-
but I was thinking putting the onus on the state to do it instead of, this is why it gets complicated. And that's why I'm asking for Guy.
No.
This is.
Well, to that point, I was,
Much money.
it's not in a rush to get passed today.
No.
This has been, I think they sent this language to me a few months ago and it's been on my desktop. I was going to pass it by a guy and then I thought, well, let me just pop it into the resolution
yeah,
anyway.
yeah, okay,
You
so
certainly could pass it forward.
Another way to do it is check with David, and check with CJ, because I remember back in my day that this came up,
Yeah,
the same thing.
Yeah.
So we may have already, you know, we, meaning past board, has already dealt with this in some fashion.
we didn't put it.
We
in
have
for-
to,
We
it has to
didn't-
be in the
We
document.
did deal with it, but we
We
didn't
never
put it in
got- we
procurement
never
policy.
finished
It's not in the.
Yeah, it was,
document.
so but those two were good at, I mean, looking back at least David's putting out RFPs. His list of people, I mean, and that's what I use. I mean, there were minority and women-owned businesses and that, but it just wasn't part of the policy.
Mhm.
And I certainly don't, I'm pretty confident you don't need to send it to everyone.
I'm okay with if Laura, if there's a way to include the word, encourage, people to, in the advertising. Do we
Yeah,
need
it
to
would be in
put
the
that
policy. Yeah,
Do we need to put in the policy that our advertising will say that?
I don't think so. No.
The
It's,
town will encourage this contractor. I don't
it doesn't say it will solicit all MWBE
Right.
No,
firms.
no.
It just says
Right.
it'll solicit those firms.
Mhm.
What was the misspelling that you saw?
There's a.
It's
still-
If this one just refers to
Like
city
the-
instead of town.
Yeah.
But just forget about the minority women-owned business designation. Even, you could say that about all contractors. Why
Right,
didn't we reach out to,
well, the
Why
way they cover
contractor?
themselves is you put it in the paper,
Right,
yeah,
right,
and
so
it-
that's the coverage.
well,
yeah.
the
And
other,
then we can also send it out to,
So this recent RFP, is posted on the town's website. It's there. We could certainly post it in Ithaca Journal,
Mhm.
just to put it out there. But
That costs money.
it's a lot of money, yeah.
Yeah.
I am curious, I mean.
Well, I mean, you suggested, and it might
We
be a
have-
bad idea to
we-
check with CJ and check with David maybe and see if,
Well, yes, but I'm always interested, do we have preferred contractors for here for Danby?
yes
Not that I
and no. We have a preferred contractor in the water district. Interior is our go-to company for fixing line breaks.
Right,
Well, and we have some of the road work,
We don't contract a whole
the
lot of,
bridge.
well, yes, in terms of providers for like asphalt and so
Also,
forth, yeah, that's true. I mean, highway has preferred. But we do it competitive, basically most of the highway done stuff with competitive bidding, though.
Yeah,
right,
yeah,
but competitive bidding, if it's a limited number, we're beating the dead horse,
Yeah,
beating the dead horse.
we are. This is not being a good dog.
It doesn't hurt to double check the language to make sure.
Where did this language come from?
It came from Toma,
Okay.
Yeah.
and they send it to all their communities.
Yeah. I mean, this has happened before, Laura, when we've either had an audit or to apply for a grant and somebody says, add this sentence into your policy or whatever, and we just do it. I mean,
Well, we
I don't
haven't
have
done
a
it.
problem
The
with it.
idea is now to put it in the policy, and it makes sense to put it in the policy.
Yeah,
Right,
Yeah,
and so,
I agree.
and we could, and in the meantime, we could also, I mean, we could even, a more a cheaper option, we could just ask Toma, do we, now that this is in, do we need to reach out to every MWBE firm in the state? I mean, I just don't think,
I know, it doesn't, it's logistically
No.
impossible.
yeah.
But we're putting, I mean, basically, back to the newspaper things. The newspaper has the bids, you know, we're asking for bids, then covers.
Wherever we advertise.
Plus, you know,
Well, instead of asking the lawyer, we could ask Toma again
Yeah,
to
we just,
confirm.
we could ask Toma and I could forward the response on and we just go from
okay,
there.
so put it on the next, put it on the next meeting.
Is it clear what questions we need to address?
Somebody-
Yes.
Okay, so you're not gonna take action tonight?
Here's the error. Just so you can put that.
Well, there's a few other
Oh,
things.
Should say town,
oh, yeah, there was definitely.
yeah.
Good catch.
All the rest is like.
No, it's not. This is wrong.
So while we're updating it, might as well.
Yeah. that
Okay.
needs to
You get it
get
right.
fixed.
What's wrong?
And that was left off.
Okay.
Um,
All right, I got those.
on page
How come
two,
I didn't catch that?
on page two, we talked in the past about changing this to $4,001.
Oh,
And then the 3 was left off of this, 3 written email, whatever. Because it was this lower amount was 2 written and this should have been 3 written.
So we basically updated at the same time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was, I thought there was something else. They're just a formatting thing. This was confusing because it looks like this, the 3.2.4 sole source items. Well, we can do this next week if we're, or next meeting.
Yeah, we can.
Yeah, just maybe send me or.
Yeah, okay,
Why don't you, yeah, run your suggestions and then we could put it all in the same
yeah,
update.
yeah.
so this is historical again. It's that, we've been through this before.
Yeah, we did, we passed this,
So.
we updated
I'm
procurement
saying
policy
that we
fairly
don't need to
recently.
Talk to Guy, we could just talk to CJ
Yes.
or David and they'll tell
Well,
us.
Toma will say, Toma will say,
Toma.
tell us.
Same deal.
Yep. Just gonna check with Toma.
I know someone named Toma.
Do you?
Very
Okay.
good.
So that too will come back next
Jesus.
time.
No, I'm not getting title section.
Boy. Right.
Okay.
For that ringing in my ears when we go home. and
Did I hear you?
I have-
Okay, the ARPA commitment update. I have breaking information to add to the. I gotta look it up.
Breaking news, it really is.
Well, I got a hold of Jack. So we have more solid numbers for the door openers. So you recall that evidently we bought the hardware for the 2 doors that don't have the push bars, but they have yet to be installed. So we've got, and you probably noticed that voucher and amongst the ones that we've all reviewed
Yeah. I don't-
back in March or I don't know, June. Anyway,
Anyway, I don't-
there was the purchase of the hardware for those doors.
And then they got sent back.
I didn't think it got set back.
Some of them, there was.
Well, that was the early one, wasn't it? That when
10 point.
So the current ones are okay.
Think
Yeah,
so.
You're right, yeah.
yeah,
sorry.
that was with that was when Michael did it.
It is, yeah, that's when we just, you see, she just put that stack in. I think-
So that I had that right, do I not, Mariah?
Let me see, I mean.
This is
We-
different.
I'm sorry,
We have
Say
the
that again,
we have the hardware in hand to do the push bars on the 2 doors that we're planning. It just had, Zach just hadn't gotten around to installing them yet. Is that correct?
there is door hardware that has been purchased, yes. I don't know what the door hardware is for.
It's for the 2 doors that don't have push bars.
I don't know.
I do. So the remaining, so as I recall that those, what, 1,300, something like that?
For what?
For the two push bars with the two doors. If I remember seeing that, I remember seeing that voucher in the ones that I looked at from the credit card purchase.
Oh, we paid for it, right?
Yeah, we did.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we'd
We
have to
just,
pay
we
for
just approved
installing.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but we could use that expenditure as part of an ARPA allocation if we want to. And lump it in with the other opener for the handicap access. So Zach says that the hardware for the that opener is in the $1,500 range. And so he's guessing that everything installed is under $4,000, including the hardware.
Including what was just.
Yeah, so you said,
what we've already spent.
So I believe the two push bars that are there cost around 1,500. I think it was more like 13, but if I remember correctly. And I guess it'll be 500 to install them. Mariah has a receipt for the bars. Yep. So we're looking at about $4,000. That was a question in the reconciliation.
Okay.
So, do you want to screen share that?
Say that again?
I don't know what I did with them.
So this automatic door opener is 4,000?
Well, no, the total of both the automatic door opener and the other two, hardware plus installation will be $4,000 altogether.
You just got it.
I like hardware and the automatic door opener.
I just want you to use them.
That's what Jack is guessing, but he'll get it even firmer numbers, but that gives us something to plug in here, because what has been said here is that we need a contract for automatic door opener.
So what we'll have to do on that list, Joel,
Yeah,
is so we put 4,000 there, we've got to take 3,000 off something else.
yeah, right.
Okay.
So $4,000 under.
Yeah, so what we did, I mean,
Manus,
yeah, well, they,
the Manus door opener.
oh, it's misspelled.
Oh, there's an E on the end. Okay.
I'm sorry, I've got a little typo in there. I also think, did I do that right at the top? That was it codification, general code? I think I caught it. I'm sorry, Joel, you did point that out, but I don't know if this particular copy has the
They
J.
get fixed, yeah,
I don't know if that was the fix.
It's a CO.
yeah. Can you make it any bigger, Mariah? That, a little bit hard to read.
Yeah. Oh, I did do that one. Okay, I fixed that one. All right.
It's the thing she gave us to print it.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Oh, did
You're
you?
looking at the.
I
Excel
printed
sheet
out
that was
something.
printed.
Yes.
Yeah, right there.
No, not
We
that
don't
one.
got one.
This one.
Yeah, where did I do it?
We're looking at no, this isn't it. So you'll just look at it.
This file, right?
So with all this, we're there.
Yeah, right there.
There we go.
Yeah. This is
So,
the
you know,
one.
we've
Yes.
got ways and ways, well, we need to come up with enough to cover all that spending all the money. We've got more than enough to do that. The main trick here is to include all of the money for the purchase of the solar array.
Right.
And then that frees us to not pursue some of the other things, before the end of the year, like the entry and maybe the hydrants for the water district. And there's good news on the hydrants for the water district. Ben Coakley, who works for the town of Ithaca, approached he went up the chain, and the DPW with the supervisor's assent is willing to entertain doing it for us for a lot less than it would cost some others to do. So something on the order of, 10 to 12,000 compared to 20,
Wow.
24. Yeah,
Are they gonna check the valves or whatever that?
yeah,
other
they want to
valve was?
replace the valves too.
Yeah,
So, and that would be a pain in the neck, because you have to drain the system, change the valves out. But they don't know until you get into it, whether or not those valves can be exercised, still work or not. But if you have to replace them, and that includes the possibility of replacing.
Okay.
okay.
Ben thought that there's already an iron key where that valve is attached to.
Yeah,
So if that's the case, then you would just have to, you could replace the valve without having to touch the main. It's a lot less risky.
That actually would make sense.
Yeah,
okay.
Preventative.
So, did the recreation trail $3,000 get taken off the list?
yeah, it did, because NYSEG still hasn't gotten the the Public Service Commission, I think, has to review a sale of their property and approve it before the deal is consummated, and they have 90 days to do it. And NYSEG didn't get around to asking them to do it until 2 months after we all agreed on the framework
Right.
for making the purchase. So I don't have any confidence that this
Okay.
is all going to happen before the end of the year. So it's not that we're not going to do it, but we
Right.
might not use ARPA money for it.
Right. Okay.
So, right. So we're guessing about $4,000 more for the
That handout I gave you guys, I think that is, don't get confused by that. The one Mariah has up here right now is the one that is the good one. So I'm sorry for that confusion. I must have sent something, an earlier version of this, but the one Mariah has is up there right now is the one that comes up to our totals.
Mhm. So we still need to get these nailed down, but so a couple things relevant on the solar array purchase. Jim is still looking for somebody to do the maintenance after we acquire it. But he's confident.
I've reached out to Sunvestment, and I have a couple of names, and she has sent our request to Lois Beidler and another gentleman, so that we can work on getting an MOU or something from them by the end of the year, so that we have that dated for before December 31st this year, about
Right.
our intent to purchase.
Right.
So
So we
satisfy that.
yeah, we think that will satisfy the commitment.
Yes. Yes, I've been watching.
Us notifying Sunvestment that pursuant to the power purchase agreement, what it's called, that we, at the 10-year point, we have the option of purchasing it. So we'll notify them by the end of this year that we intend to purchase. We want to exercise that option. And then
Yes.
we have till the end of 2026 to actually make the purchase.
Mhm.
And maybe we can make it happen a little sooner, but,
So by the way, Jim,
Yeah.
did he has asked Dave Teddy in and gotten a negative reply?
no, not necessarily.
Okay.
He's looking at the possibility that, he asked Dave to do an evaluation, and it was a problem there with insurance. But maybe he could include that in part of a proposal for maintenance. And in which case he wouldn't have the same issue. So that's what Jim's looking into.
Okay. I mean, I'm sorry, I keep putting my point out here. When they don't work, you call a technician,
Yeah,
but they work
yeah.
90+% of the time. So really, it's not a maintenance contract. It's just when we have an issue, we'll call someone.
Well, we have to know they have an issue in order to call. What they've got with called Renovus is a monitoring and repair agreement.
Yeah.
Where they're keeping track of is it working? And it's not, if something shows up, then they'll fix it for whatever, it's probably, based on their hourly charge or whatever, but
Right.
it's not it's gonna cost you
Monitoring.
X $1,000 a year for.
The monitoring is a very, very simple thing. If you see a drop in production, which is, we see that, we get that report.
Yeah.
Every month and annually.
Yeah,
So it's easy to say, oh, what happened?
Check.
right. Yeah,
So I'm not sure a third party is necessary to do that.
well, so who's gonna notice? It's amazing how long these things can get, I didn't notice.
Right.
The things that-
Well, I used to have,
to figure out if we buy it.
I used to do it, used
Yeah.
to do it.
I mean, I've got an array and I don't check it. I mean, I've got if it fell off dramatically, I would know, but I mean, I'm not comparing this year to last year for the same period to see whether there's a significant drop.
Well, I'm
We
saying,
do that with ours.
Do you?
yeah,
Well, good for you.
basically.
That's the right way to do it.
Okay.
But that's what needs to happen, is somebody needs to be keeping tabs on it.
How much you willing to pay me to go out?
Maybe we should pay Charlie to do it.
There's Jim. Jim's there now.
Oh.
He's been there,
Has he?
He just showed
yeah.
up.
Now
with
he
his
shows
spade.
face.
Well, Jim, you want to comment?
No.
Sure. I reached out to Dave again. Dave said that they may be able to do the assessment of the array as well. They're going to talk to an insurance company. He said they're really swamped with work right now, so I just sent an email before the meeting. I didn't get anything back again. So hopefully we'll get something back, and it's more of a maintenance agreement. I think it won't be, as steep as what we heard from Renovus. And it would be somebody they would at least look at it once in a while, or whatever the period of time is, so they can see if there is a drop. And then they would go out and they would do testing to figure out which module it was, what the problem was, and replace it. So it'd be sort of an agreement that they would do that, and it'd probably be less for them to do it than if they just did it, if you just called somebody out of the blue and said, come fix something. So I would wait to see what their agreement is from them and what the cost is, but they said they might be able to do it if it's part of a maintenance, so they could do the assessment as well.
Okay.
That's all I have on that.
So we're getting there.
I love Dave. So.
Yeah.
All about it.
Yeah, well, hopefully he'll follow through and
Right.
Yeah.
If not, he'll do it.
yeah, so I would say, we're sort of on track for these things here, so, but we're in the home stretch, we have to get them nailed down.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay. Where are we here?
One more thing, if the as far as the solar array, if they needed the money to be put into a certain place or some sort of an agreement that the funds are dedicated, they're there already to make it so that they would accept the terms better, if they think we just want a piece of paper saying it, but if we're actually committing the funds and putting the funds somewhere so that it's in an escrow account, or if that's the right terminology or not for the funds. So they, if they would feel more comfortable as far as the money being put aside for it.
Funds for what?
To purchase the.
Purchasing.
We already,
Yeah, we'd be using ARPA money, which is already in the bank, waiting to be used for.
Yeah.
Oh, I mean from the solar company. Or either side, either side.
I think what you're saying, just let me repeat it, is I think you wanted to put in a separate account that is designated to buy the array.
Yeah, if the
From some
solar,
basement.
if Sun Sunvestment felt better that the money was dedicated towards it, and if the money for the ARPA money had to be put in a certain place. If it was just designated as the funds for that.
For the buying the array.
Buying
The
a
ARPA recommendations or the ARPA requirements don't require that, but Sunvestment might. But I know ARPA does not.
okay.
Well, we could accommodate it. I mean,
Yeah,
if-
that's
The
easy enough.
Sure.
money's there already in the
Absolutely.
account, just
Just
if
spend till
I
training.
mean,
we
if we're
vote, we vote not to spend it on something else.
right.
Right, would a vote by us to actually put the money, use that money, satisfy Sunvestment? Jim,
Say again, Paul?
if we voted tonight to set aside or
Vote
have,
not tonight.
use some ARPA money to actually purchase the array within, 12 months or whatever, I don't know what the framework would have to be, would they be okay with that? Would that satisfy their requirements?
I guess we get to see what Laura comes back with, in the next couple of weeks as far as what they require and what kind of agreement has to be signed.
Okay,
Because here's the reality of it. I mean, if they want to sell it to us tomorrow, we'll buy it.
Right. And Laura,
Yeah,
I'm
we got-
happy to speak to someone too, if that helps as well.
Thank you so much, Jim. We'll stay on it and keep everybody updated.
I mean, there's no need to necessarily wait until December 26, 2026 to make the purchase.
No,
right.
And if they're amenable to
Sooner the better, maybe.
selling it before that date, we could talk about some sort of accommodation. I mean, they're making, about $1,600, $16,000 a year off of this, which works out like $1,300 a month. Yeah, so for every month that's early, we could give them an extra $1,300 or something, and we'd be even money for us, and then they would be out, they would get their money sooner.
what you doing? Oh, that clock hasn't been changed, has it?
No, it hasn't, so it's
Just
an hour
fallen
early.
back.
It hasn't fallen back yet. It's just, attends the DOT meeting. So I gathered that both Mariah and Leslie are interested in going this year.
Yeah.
In fact, I've already
Signed up.
signed up. So I move we authorize them to be our representatives there too.
I'll second that.
Sort of.
Okay. I presume, ahead of that, there's a whole bunch of resolutions and stuff which we should, but didn't do last year. We should review.
Do we have them yet? Usually they don't come in until like,
Later. I mean, the meeting's not until February.
it's kind of early,
Yeah.
yeah.
But the early bird registration was November 1st.
Yeah.
So we go for it. So the only thing is that, but before the meeting, we should review the resolutions and
That's what I
indicate
usually
our
did if I
collective
was coming.
preference.
Yeah.
Okay, so, any further discussion about who is going?
No,
Mariah, want to conduct the vote?
Banners,
Yes.
Hanson,
yeah,
Hunter,
Yes,
Woodworth,
Yes,
Yes,
Gagnon. Thank you.
we'll find out. Ah, yes, special event law. So where we left off with this was that we thought we had it all ready to go. And we were gonna do we're at the point of scheduling a public hearing and doing the seeker review. It turned out to be a snag.
Yeah, so this, and as I said, this just came in on Friday, these comments from Guy. Pretty much what happened, I reached out to him to ask about agricultural exemption, because that word agriculture wasn't in the exemption area of the law. And it was brought up actually by someone else in town. It said, if an agricultural operation is hosting an event that requires a fee for admission, has over 100 people or 50 cars, do they need to get a special permit? And if, let's say these events happen multiple times a week, do they need to get a special event permit every single week? So my question to the guy was, are these just inherently exempt because they're an agricultural operation. Let's say the event is completely incidental to their agricultural production and sales and all that, and it's all fine for ag and markets and all that. Are they exempt from permitting? And his response was not necessarily. There are things that you could look at, and so it sounds kind of there's a hair to be split here that maybe it's worth because the next question then is, does the town want to exempt these events on farms if they can, or you know. So all that to say, and then Guy also apologized because he didn't realize that we were exempting out commercially used property. And then he sort of just went into a little bit on that and said, here's a scenario. What if there's a commercial zoned property that's vacant? There's one on the corner of Comfort and 96B. If it's zoned commercial, somebody has an event there, that's a temporary commercial use in the eyes of land use. That could be completely fine without being permitted. I mean, maybe there was a way to sort of shut that down, but he's putting out kind of extreme examples that probably would never happen, but his point is, you know, does the town really want that? And I'm guessing probably not. The idea for saying commercial used properties are exempt, thinking about like the Danby Food and Drink, if they had enough parking, or the Gathery, if they had enough parking, other commercial places, the Legion, you know, if there's other businesses in town that are commercial and they have enough parking, they're exempt. That was the intention.
But you know, farms are commercial enterprises.
Farms?
What did you say?
I said farms are commercial enterprises.
No, they're agricultural.
They're
enterprises.
Agricultural
I mean, they're
enterprises.
not,
Well, it's still,
they're not necessarily.
They're
a commercial
agricultural
district.
enterprises and we're dealing with, so we're doing, that was one of the issues and
Yeah.
commercial is the other. There's two issues.
Yeah.
He made them explicit.
So I haven't, that just came in on Friday. And I just wrote this, I called Joel, we were talking about, and I put this memo together and just said, hey, there's some, you know, maybe we need to just look at this again. So I haven't, I don't have any creative thoughts at this point. You know, Guy suggested instead of exempting out, looking at it by use, exempting out certain uses, look at maybe just think about using your zoning map in general and just saying, where would it be allowed by right? Where would it be allowed with site planning, or you know, and maybe restricting it. Maybe the town doesn't want to allow it town-wide, which is what the law is being drafted right now, that it would be
Yes.
allowed, these events would be allowed town-wide. They just have to go through the Board of Zoning Appeals unless they have enough parking and they're you know, they're in that exempt category.
so my thought on this was that it might be well to have that discussion and that the regulatory review committee might be the good place to have it.
Oh, because it could be.
Because of all the
as-
connections
as
and stuff.
Certain areas.
Yeah, maybe find like,
I mean, I can
zoom
see
out
that
and take a
there's-
look at the big picture.
Lots of ways that people could say, wow, I can have this, I'm exempt and I can do this 5 days a week.
Mm-hmm,
And that gets old pretty fast.
mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I'm thinking weddings.
Weddings are exempt.
They're exempt.
Yeah.
Specifically.
And specifically, they're
Graduation,
exempt,
birthday
yeah.
parties.
Although like family gatherings and,
All
Yeah.
that stuff.
So
That's
these are
fine.
commercial events?
Well,
yeah, they're.
Yeah, for which you charge.
Think like a festival.
That's-
And because this all got started because somebody on South Danby Road was hosting a big festival.
Right.
And so this is, you know, to try to capture some of those events that are probably very rare. You know, but
But depending on how you define them, it might include things like what happens every night at Southfield Cider.
Right,
right.
yeah.
So
But that's. a
so
commercial- right.
let's,
But it's just, you know, is it a special event? Depends on how you define it, so.
Yeah.
so it's debatable
Mhm.
if that's ag or commercial.
Okay.
And that's where maybe it's worthwhile to figure out where that dividing line is. And then the next question is, does the town want to permit those types of events at, for example, Southwell Cider? I would think not every single night of the week should have a permit, but it's more like maybe there would be a year-long permit or something.
It's seasonal.
A seasonal
weather,
permit,
you know,
kind of thing like that.
Same thing for Carthage and, you know, market, you know. Danby Food and Drink conceivably could go the same way.
Right,
Right.
yeah.
So it's a,
Let me think
Gets
about it.
hard. I
it's a
mean,
little bit back to the drawing board.
Yeah.
Well, some of it is actually building code stuff in the sense that there's, when you have an assemblage, you're
Yeah.
limited by how much space you have and how many people you can have because of that. You might want to just ask Steve what those limits are and see if that has any impact on what you're thinking about.
That's a good point. And I know the county has requirements too, when you hit a certain number, then you have to start providing porta potties and,
Right.
and health management and fire management.
But the number's like 5,000, isn't it?
And
I
that's,
thought it was
No,
lower, somebody,
it's lower.
it's lower than that, like
It was-
250 even.
I remember it was a rather, it was a
huge.
pretty big
Yeah,
number.
it was very large.
Yeah.
No, it was.
Well, it was multiple thousand, it might have been
Yeah.
3,000 or,
It was, that was what, Ulysses,
yeah. Mhm.
told us. That's why, yeah. Part of the reason that,
Huh.
there's a lot of stuff going on behind that we apparently didn't know. I don't know that.
Mhm.
But when, Joel, you called the health department.
Yeah,
And they're the ones that said, oh, 3,000, 5,000 before we, like.
Huh.
I mean, that's a lot.
and, you know, what's his name, knew, you know, what that threshold was and made sure that he was gonna be
Right.
under it,
Right.
not triggering involvement. The only one in Tompkins County, it was big enough to trigger that is the grassroots. You know, it didn't even trigger to have none, you know, the Apple
Right.
Festival downtown or, you know, any of those, you know, downtown festivals are under that threshold.
Yeah.
So,
So back to the,
yeah, a little bit, just wanna, you know, maybe rework some wording in there. And it might be a good place to have it be for the regulatory review committee. It is kind of, it's punting a little bit further down the timeline, but,
Yeah.
Yeah, but not, I mean, we've got, probably have winter to work on it.
right, and I'm happy to put some time in too, and I think, I think we should take up Guy's suggestion. He said he'd be have, you know, to look into the ag and markets laws and that we should talk to somebody there.
Mhm.
Kind of maybe have a,
Better sense for, and he has a very good sense of basically where ag and markets comes down on what's in support of agricultural activity as opposed to what's beyond the pale, so to speak. And even if it is in support of agricultural activity, it's not that ag and markets won't allow you to do any regulation, just that they have to be reasonable.
yeah,
hopefully it's all recent.
right, and it might, so it might tie well into the regulatory review committee's work, and just
Mhm.
looking at different things.
And that's one of those things that's been sort of out there that we haven't dealt with, that we really need
Right.
to figure out where we want to come down on. Definitely what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Okay, so that, but basically the upshot is that we're having to move it off the front burner and move it to the back. you
Yeah.
know?
Why don't we have somebody from Ag and Markets come talk to us?
That might be worth it.
That might be
Yeah.
worthwhile.
I mean,
Yeah.
you know. But
Yeah,
maybe
we
there are a couple other little things
There's
like that
There's
that we
probably
could,
lots of things we
we
could.
could
like.
have them
Yeah.
talk to us about.
Oh, they're seeing it. There's a lot, they've issued, there's a lot of stuff in writing, guidance documents.
Right,
from
right. So I'm thinking we don't have to, not necessarily have to bother.
Probably want to familiarize
Right.
themselves with that before we
We can look
have a meeting with them, so we can, you know, focus on
Right.
questions on what things they haven't already answered.
Well, a lot of it is case by case, so unfortunately, we might have to single out a certain
Yeah,
business and just use that as an example and then start talking
Yeah.
about it.
mhm,
But
yeah.
that's kind of just how it has to happen.
Codification. The,
Thanks.
But another piece of little perspective is, it's been going on a long time.
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, I'm saying, it's like,
It's
yeah,
work in progress.
say loud,
Yeah,
you
Mhm.
know?
but it's also, I mean, I have to keep thinking, it's not just to restrict things, it's also to
And encourage.
make it
Have-
possible for people to do this stuff.
Make it fair.
Right.
Yeah,
What's not right is having it, something which is technically illegal. I'm just looking the other way.
illegal.
So, I think we should deal with it, and either make it right
Yeah.
or decide we
Yeah.
don't want it. We committed to codifying our laws. It's a process and it requires some back and forth. They want to make sure that they've captured everything there is to capture. And they have some questions for us to answer, and it wasn't that much from a writer. She didn't have the answers to all of those questions, so.
So the only question,
I'm sorry.
well, we've found a lot of information. I worked with Leslie and we've gathered a lot of information. There is some, the only thing I really am missing at this point is a resolution to follow the FOIL law. I have not found anything that says, yeah, the
We will
town of
do it.
Danby's good with this state law. Every other law that I've found, they had some were missing or some didn't, just weren't complete. And I believe I have all those and they're pretty much ready to go. Greg is gonna work on amending local law, the zoning law, because we passed that law at the beginning of the year and we just need to incorporate those changes into local law number 1 of 22. And then I'm pretty much ready to go, except that the FOIL, I mean, we can look deeper,
Well, yeah,
but we have not.
We've been committed to doing it, but we may never have adopted a policy saying that.
Exactly.
There's
So
a
that's-
number of things on their list. I mean, it'll probably take me 2 days to go through that list.
Oh,
But there
right.
were some things that were missing. That should be in there.
So anyway, I was hoping that Leslie would weigh in. It sounds like you already have jumped in to help out. Because you have the longest institutional memory, particularly for the stuff that's gets recorded.
Plus her list that she's worked on. Yeah.
But nevertheless, we've got it, and that's
And-
the.
It's in paper.
So I mean, I think that most of the questions that were raised, you could probably answer.
Yeah, I mean, we looked briefly. I haven't finished looking, but the FOIL thing was something that they said we should have.
Mhm.
If we don't have it, we can do one up.
Yeah, right.
But, yeah, there were things that, the thing that was glaring to me on their list was, the zoning map. They had listed as being like not significant and not sort of worthy of being included.
Yeah, certainly disagree with that.
It's like, that's like almost the most important thing that we have.
Mhm.
So I mean, it'll take me 2 days to go through.
Yeah, and I think we should collaborate, because there's some things I noticed too, where I said, well, this is the right,
Yeah.
misimpression.
But,
Yeah, okay, I'm glad to hear that you're willing
Yeah.
to jump in and help.
well,
I believe that includes the agenda, except for anything not previously mentioned that you might like to include next time. Have several things that carried over,
there were, yeah.
and if not, we can adjourn the meeting. Just in time, we're gonna have about 5 more minutes before we run up against our 2 o'clock, 2 hours time limit. Because we didn't start till after the public hearing.
No,
Yeah.
that's true.
That's why. That's why it's okay.
That's true.
Anyway, meeting adjourned. Thank you all.
Greg.
Wait,
Jim.
Oh.
Night, everybody.
Give me time.
Laura,
Okay.
is this your hairbrush?
Laura,
Oh, I dropped that, huh?
Okay,
I'm here
I'll
for
keep it in my office.
Okay, thanks.
In a hurry, you might use it.
Did you want Jim?
Maybe it was like doing this.
I think he was waving to it.
Are we just saying goodbye?
Yes.
Bye, Jim.
Good night.